It's a very hard job. You know they won't hire just any old slob. You don't have to wear a tie or a coat. You just have to know how to float. We sing the song of the sewer. Of the sewer, we sing this song. Together we stand with shovel in hand to keep things rolling along. I work down a manhole with a guy named Bruce, and we are in charge of all the refuse. He lets me go first while he holds the lid. I'm telling you, this weekend we sing the song of the sewer. The sewer, we sing this song. Together we stand, with shovel in hand, to keep things rolling along. A funny thing happened to Bruce yesterday. The tide came along, he got carried away. He come out in Jersey, but it's okay now, 'cause that's where he lives anyhow. We sing the song of the sewer. Of the sewer, we sing this song. Together we stand, we shovel and keep things rolling along. My father, he worked in a sewer uptown. I followed his footsteps and worked my way down. That's how I began in this here industry. I just sort of fell into it. Lucky me. We sing the song of the sewer. Sing that song. The sewer, we sing this song. Together we stand with shovel in hand to keep things rolling along.
Good afternoon. My name is Richard Strauss, and I am the chair of the 1983 Water Pollution Control Authority. So I'd like to call the October 1st, 2023 meeting of the Commission to order. And I'd like to first recognize fellow Commission member Kim Sinay. And also helping with the presentation this afternoon is my wife Leslie Strauss. I'm only doing a small part here with the introductory remarks. So my job is to give you the detailed history of the 17 years of planning. So that's going to take about an hour and a half. We can get into the parade information, which is why everybody's here. So by 1983, the town of Chester had been under a state mandate to install a sewer system for the center of town for nearly 17 years. The State Department of Environmental Protection had threatened to take legal action, cautioning both Chester and Deep River that it would be denied funding and that litigation could be started, forcing the towns to bear the cost of the entire project if they did not comply. The original Sewer Commission was formed in 1970 and began making every effort to comply and avoid the heavy state fines and penalties. Studies were done to determine the project's scope and possible regionalization. Residents were very concerned about the proposal and the effect it might have on the town. In 1976, the Council of Governments, then the what's the region? FERPA. That was the name of it. Issued a statement assuring the residents that sewers alone would not stimulate growth. Sites for a Chester-only system, such as the Fairgrounds, North Quarter Park, East Liberty Street, the town office building parking area, when the town office was located on Main Street at the time, for those of you who don't know. And the current Maple Street parking lot were then looked into. In 1981, the Maple Street lot was chosen to accommodate an underground gravity feed system with a pumping station located at the back of the 4 Water Street parking lot. By 1983, the town's Water Pollution Control Authority consisted of 7 members: myself, Skip Haskins as vice chair, Jack Salvinsky, Jerry Lamar, Kim Sinay, Bill Cochin, and Doris Diorio. Anna Capolini was clerk and recording secretary. Most small town residents would find the installation of a sewer system designed to accommodate a mere 34 properties mundane, perhaps even boring. But not the 3,000 or so residents of Chester, the second smallest town and the second smallest state in the country. No, sir, Chester knew how to make a big deal out of even the smallest thing. Hence, the sewer parade of 1983.
All right, so what you're looking at here is the Petticon Brook behind all of your favorite restaurants. Didn't think it was there, did you? And back in 1983, when we'd been under mandate, we were dumping raw sewage directly into that and had been doing so for at least forever, right? Yeah. I'm just passing by Richard's notes here. Okay, so let's back up. There were people in town, such as the Bibiani family, who owned the Chester Hotel, where Leif Nilsson now owns and does his artwork. I had the pleasure of having a great conversation with Steve Bibb, who grew up right here in Chester in the Chester Hotel. And Steve said he'd be here today. So Steve, rather than me tell you a story, why don't you tell your story? I'll give you a microphone. Come on up here. So that...
Okay. Naturally, I grew up in Chester. I was born in 1953. So, as a youngster in town, where would we go to play? The brook. We played in the brook every day. We would fish in the brook. We'd never brought them home, but we would fish in the brook. We wouldn't swim in it, but we would wade in it, because that's okay, and so forth. So, but the story that I portrayed to Leslie years ago was the fact that I knew we had where the barbershop was, the pipe went under the road, under the building on the other side of the street, dumped into the brook. And one of the things that we used to gauge our time by was around 4 or 5 o'clock, my mother would get home from work, and we're still playing in the brook, as we had all day. And as soon as I saw water come out of our pipe, I would realize that Mom's home and it was time to go home for dinner. So we did that went on for many, many years. I still like to tell that story of the people who think that Chester is a very artsy place and so forth and so forth. But I say, see that pipe over there? That's our pipe.
Yeah, which pipe is yours?
It's further upstream.
Further upstream. Okay, let's see here.
There's a unique story about the Petticonk as well. The Petticonk, the bar room. If you're not familiar with the original layout of the Petticonk, the bar room was where the dining room is now. It had a long hallway, and the restaurant was in the front. So you'd walk in, and the bathroom was just off the dining room. And if you were young enough or had a mind to, you would go to the bathroom, flush the toilet, and if you were fast enough, you could run out to the bar and stick your head out the window and watch it fall into the brook. So we knew everybody's pipe. So that's what it was like.
Bibiani. So what you're looking at now is a current picture of the Patagon, which we only took about a month ago. And you can see, especially in the far slide there, that nice big hole, that's where the pipes were, right towards the bottom of each of the buildings. Just so you know, it wasn't arbitrary that they put a sewer in. So moving along, this is my husband 40 years ago, signing the official papers here for the groundbreaking, which I was very impressed with. Good job, honey. Before I go further with Richard, I had another little story about the center of town. A friend of ours, Trip Wyeth, who actually is here today, but he's probably too embarrassed to identify himself, has a property on Maple Street. It used to be the Chester Book Company, owned by the Nadells, and back in '83 it was the Chester Book Company. But before that, in the late '70s, Trip came to Chester for an afternoon visit and discovered that the town was absolutely enthralling. Antique buildings in various states of disrepair, but lots of potential and lots of diversity in the architecture. And he was very serious about purchasing a property back then for his architecture business, until it became a nice, hot, humid, sunny summer afternoon, and the breeze wafted over Main Street. And it was at that time he decided perhaps he should invest elsewhere. Did I tell that right? Okay. I got thumbs up. All right, so there's Richard with his groundbreaking, and there are many, many more newspaper articles that were done about this event, and Carrie Hull has made a nice display over here for you to have a look at afterwards. So the elementary school band was commissioned, a toilet was requisitioned, and champagne was poured into the toilet to commemorate the groundbreaking and the start of construction. And this article was just one of many, as I just said. Claudia Van Ness, who is also here today, was reporting for the Hartford Courant at the time. And Claudia, if you would be good enough to share your article about, now this is the groundbreaking, which was in April, prior to any parade even being considered. You want to come up here, Claude?
Sure. I get the mic.
Yeah,
Cool.
because otherwise somebody's going to yell, "Can't hear you." Remember Edmund? Every town meeting, "Can't hear you."
Well, I was reminded of this article, which I totally forgot, did not forget the sewer, but I forgot the article till Leslie and Richard pointed it out to me. And what I think is sort of interesting about it is everything between the lines and how the Hartford Courant, didn't edit this. It was a serious paper. I wrote this in on April 15th, or it was published April 15th, 1983. For the past 17 years, the town of Chester has been under state orders to install a sewer system. So when the groundbreaking was held Thursday, officials wanted it to be an event to remember. Marching more or less in step, the Chester Elementary School Band led the small group of participants from the flagpole in the center of town to the banks of the nearby Patagon Brook. 17 years in the making, these kids weren't even born when we started, marveled Doris DiOrio, Water Pollution Control Authority member. Chester has commissioned and rejected more engineering studies than anyone can remember. The town defied the state, it procrastinated, it argued. But the honors finally went Thursday to the current authority, which has accepted a $345,000 construction bid, imagine, and to the chairman, Richard Strauss. Strauss stepped smartly behind the school band, a broad grin on his face, a red, white, and blue construction helmet on his head, and a worn garden shovel in his hand. He then dutifully removed a spadeful of dirt from the spot along the brook where the system's pumping station will be built. The system, which will be 100% government funded, will serve 30 businesses in the town center. The celebrants only had to look across the brook to see the backs of the village's Main Street buildings and the long rusting pipes that have spewed raw sewage directly into the Paddlecon for years. But no one noticed the ugly pipes Thursday. The crowd was too curious about a lump covered with a pink bedspread sitting on the brook's banks. With a flourish, Strauss finally whipped off the old bedding to reveal a lidless toilet and a note inside the bowl. Help! I'm being held prisoner in the Chester Water Pollution Control Authority's septic tanks. The young musicians who had been wondering aloud why they had been drafted out of class burst into giggles. And when Strauss emptied a bottle of champagne into the toilet, the adult participants exploded in cheers.
Claudia, that was wonderful. Now you know why she was such a great reporter for the Current. But wait, that's not all. Chairman Strauss and the other WPCA members were so delighted in August when the system was completed that they decided to stage yet one more celebration, the Chester Sewer Parade. Resident Dave Morrell designed the official poster which promoted the event. And of course, if you can read that slogan, yes, the commission then ordered dozens of t-shirts with Dave's artwork across the front, and there it is, your number 2 business is our number 1 business. And sold out. There's discrepancy. Richard says there were about 8 dozen. I thought there were more, but we basically ran out of shirts because they were people from all over the country were requesting them. So on September 5th, the parade, led by Chairman Strauss, started on the Maple Street parking lot, which was at that time where the fields were for the system, and they marched down onto Water Street and over to 4 Water Street to the parking lot. But we weren't the only ones making a fuss about this. When Channel 3 Eyewitness News caught wind of the upcoming event, they sent reporter Rad Berkey and a camera crew to town. Does anyone remember Rad Berkey? Yeah? To observe a flushette rehearsal at our house. More about the flushettes. We're performing an original composition, I'm embarrassed to tell you I wrote it, which is called Chester Has Its Sewer, and a tune from the TV show The Honeymooners that Art Carney, who portrayed Ed Norton, sang, and you heard that when we first opened the presentation. Speaking of Ed, Mr. Carney was invited to the ceremony and the parade, but he was unable to join us. Moving. I just have to make sure I'm on my notes here. Okay, so we had the Fife and Drum Corps appearing in full battle array. Some of you may recognize yourselves. Was anybody in the Fife and Drum Corps 40 years ago? No? I'm sure Jeremy was. Yeah, Jeremy was, right. And we have kids with pots and pans all marching down the street. You may recognize some of those kids, and some of them are in the articles that are over here. If you can't see them on the screen, feel free to take a look at it later. And more kids. I recognize a Sapowski in there. Yeah, a couple of Sapowskis. And a little Schreiber. Yeah. And a little Bairstow, exactly. This is Jesse Good. And there's a picture of what he was wearing, and it's actually over here, the original. This is, Jesse is a sewer rat. With a costume made by his mother. The contractor for the project, DMS Construction, supplied an outhouse with a couple of guys in there. I don't think they're real, but they were there. They were in the parade. And I'm embarrassed, but here we go. My neighbor growing up, darling, Stephen Sabowski. Put your little hand up, Stephen. We're looking at your hair, Stephen. With plungers and toilet brushes, with his friend Karen Morrow, who is dressed as Ed Norton from the sewers. Stephen and Karen had the honor of making the first official flush from the podium, which required the recording of a toilet flush, of course, and as there was no fresh water available at the pump station, we did have the recording. You'll also notice the shotgun in the car here is Jerry Mark, who, Jerry wasn't able to come today? Was Jerry? I didn't see Jerry, no. What?
I think we claimed that we had a contest to select Miss Sewer, and Stephen won.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right, I forgot about that. Right. Stephen, you are a beauty, okay. And you had hair, okay, fine.
Go back one.
Go back.
Steve, what are you wearing?
That's a custom design of a couple toilet plungers and toilet brushes and
Mom's curlers.
my mother's curlers. And I had a wand, I think that was a scepter. But you're making me dredge up some people.
Moving along.
Yeah.
So this is the original Flechette Mobile here with the Flechettes, which we were created for the purpose of this parade. We are wearing the usual costumes, shower caps, wrapped with toilet paper, waving plungers, and we are on the back of, you guessed it, a dump truck, which we call the Flechette Mobile. And we have kids riding along. We had a lot of fun, we really did. Patty, you're wearing your mom's hat. Your mom was in the...
You're wearing
Yeah. Let's see. Can we see Mary in that one?
another one.
Go
She's
back.
the only one wearing a hat. No, she's in another picture. Keep going. Yeah.
Another picture? All right, we'll go forward again. You recognize yourselves? You see Carrie Hull in there?
But there are others.
And Diane Terry Schreiber's over there on the right. Marion, I can't see you.
Well, let's make sure. We can see her in another one. But see Diane.
And who's it? Yeah.
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 Okay, fine. We'll get to that in a second. And I think we have one more.
There's
There
Mary
we
Ann
go.
at the back of the truck
Oh, yeah.
sitting.
That'd be cool.
Catherine. And this is our daughter Jessica. God.
And there's Terry.
And Terry, yeah, I can't see from here, so you have to identify yourselves. Okay, so anyway, that's the Flechette Mobile, and we did sing the song. Hang on a second.
Oh my.
Now, I have to tell you, I took this out of the box,
Oh my God.
and both straps broke because it's been in there for almost 40 years. Okay, but you probably are wondering what this wonderful song is, right? So basically, it's if I can get into this thing. Wait a minute, I'm not doing this by myself. Come on, Flechette. Chester has its sewer, what a rush. No more pollution when you flush it. Cleaner water and a place to stay. The next time that you wash up, thank the WBCA. But we had a good time.
And
We
our
did have a good time.
children all sang it.
Huh?
David can still sing it. Alan can
Oh, the
sing
kids?
it.
Yeah, Catherine.
Jason Lamar can sing it.
Lawyers and everybody. Okay, fine, moving along. So that was the song. We were going to invite you along to sing along with us, but I forgot to push the slide in. Too bad. You missed it. Okay. This is the podium, which was set up at the pumping station at the back of Fort Water Street. You know where Wheat Market is? That's the Fort Water Street. Go to the end of the parking lot and you'll see a little bit of machinery in there. That's the pumping station. And at the podium, we have some dignitaries from left to right. You have State Representative Sid Holbrook, who was hoping to be able to be here today. But I guess Sid didn't make it. State Senator Ken Hampton, State Representative Linda Emmons, Selectman and Fire Marshal Jim Grote, Selectman Ed Guzbowski, and First Selectman Bob Blair. Sid was one of the consultants for the project, as at the time he owned Monflow Septic Company in Westbrook. So during the ceremony, Sid presented Chairman Strauss with a t-shirt which read, "Pump men have more fun." But no commemorative event would be complete without a ribbon cutting. So come on, a fancy red ribbon? I don't think so. Surely you can figure out what was cut at this event, and it didn't even require scissors. This is an overview of the parade site. Everybody turned out for this. This was not just a tiny thing. Chester was very excited. And as you can see, some of the newspaper headlines. We thought this was the end of it, but we found out this was a bigger deal than we realized when my grandmother called from Miami. She said, "What the heck is your husband up to?" The story of Chester's festivities was picked up by AP and appeared in the Miami Herald, the Pacific Stars and Stripes, the Hartford Courant, New Haven Register, and newspapers everywhere. I think my grandma might have had a little difficulty sharing these accomplishments with some of her Mahjong buddies, but nonetheless. And no event is complete without refreshments. There we go. So, of course, we had a table with WPC Aid. That's actually lemonade, in case you're worried, and chocolate munchkins, and they are making a reprise here today. We have more WPC Aid and more munchkins for you. You know the symbolism. You want to come back? It's symbolic. There's other refreshments too. We want to thank you, and we want to ask you to please join us for refreshments in a minute. Is there anyone else that has something they'd like to say?
Anybody have memories?
Memories?
Of those days?
Little Cracker Barrel memories of before we. Stephen.
Well, I got you.
Can you keep them? Can you keep them PC? Come on.
I can do my best.
Okay, do your best. You want to come up?
Yeah, she needs to
Stephen Sabowski, our.
Sewer queen. So I was 19 when this happened, and I didn't care. It's gonna be a blast. I mean, come on, it's sewer parade. It's Chester. The next day, I went to work, and I worked for Sue and Joel Jacobson in Saybrook, and she said, "You had a phone call from NBC, David Letterman. He's going to be calling back." I said, "Oh, okay, he didn't," but I was like, wow. My mother calls and said, my Aunt Tisha in Scottsdale called and said, "Did I just see Stephen on the television in a bra?" And I'm like, "Yes." And later that afternoon, while I was still at work, a phone call from a Chicago radio station to do an interview to talk about this madness of a sewer parade. Now, we needed this sewer because, as Eric Zeman will remember, when we were kids, we'd go fishing. My mom would go, "Where are you going?" "Oh, we're going to go fishing for crappies." Because that's that's just the way it was. So this was something the town really needed. And thank God, Richard, you guys did a fantastic job putting that together. Yeah, the last closing memory I have, and it's a really good one. My father for weeks saying, "Yep, my son the queen." He was proud. It was fun, but it was an awesome, special time. It really, really was. So that's it.
Thank you, Stephen. Anything else? Jan?
I just have a little follow-up.
Jan, good.
Just a little follow-up. It was a year later that Peter and I were able to buy our building, 1984. And I tell the story because Peter and I were walking downtown. It was my birthday, September 30th of 1984, my 40th birthday. And Billy Bonfanti was taking photographs of the building. I said, "Billy, what's going on?" You know, "Oh, it's going to go on the market on Monday." And we said, "We'll be there," you know. And no way could we afford it, but we said, "We have to do this." We had been looking for our own building for our business. Peter had worked out the highway. Anyway, so we were able to do that. The bank gave us amazing terms. We were able to assume the old mortgage. It's a long story, but well then, let's see, 8 years later, our business had grown and we actually needed more room. So we planned an addition. And I have to back up too, because we did a major staircase in 1984-85. It was a very rickety staircase. And George Anderson was our contractor, and he was a great guy. We never even thought about, is there a septic? Is there, you know, we just thought about it. So 8 years later, we're now doing this major, major addition. And we have to rip off the back of the building where the package store was, that addition, the brick addition. And we also realized it would be really terrific if we could tie into the sewer system. And I went over to the town hall and they said, "Well, no, you have to prove that you have a malfunctioning system." We had no idea what we even had. We had no attention to it. And we had only had a couple people, you know, working upstairs. Well, damn it, again, my birthday. September 30th. This is, what is it, 1992 or something. The crew is ripping off the back of this building. And what did they discover? Septic tank. And they had broken the corner of the septic tank. Turns out that George Anderson, all those years ago, said, there's no way they can afford to deal with replacing the septic. So he poured the footings for the stairway right on top of the septic tank.
Oh my God.
So I took a photograph of this now malfunctioning septic tank, brought it over to the town hall, and they said, okay, you've got a malfunction. So 8 years later, it's another birthday present. I said, how many women get a birthday present? A malfunctioning septic tank. So I always said Chester provides. History.
Anybody else care to share some of these wonderful stories? Septic humor? No? No? All right. Again, Richard, I guess we both want to say thank you to everybody for
Thank you.
coming today. If you have more questions,
Thank you.
he'll be here. As I said, there's a display table. Oh, I did want to mention, no, there's no theme here. Don't get carried away. For some reason, which makes sense, we did several years ago write a book called Outhouses of Connecticut. Okay, there's no relation. There's just, it's a long story. But in any case, we brought a pile of them here today. At this point in time, because they are a little long in the tooth, We're selling them for $10. Everything's going to the Historical Society. So if you'd like to make a donation and have a nice little outhouse book, there's a pile over here, and $10, and just give it to Carrie Hall, and that's that.
Makes a great bathroom.
Yes. Thank you. Little